Storm Pyramid X packs a wallop. Yes, that is indeed the case. So yes, as part of the content contributor program, I'm able to get early access to review these champions. And in particular, this was the one that I was really hoping to get and also test out. This is Storm Pyramid X. As a lot of you know, the Marvel Realm of Champions type bigger Kabamish universe is now colliding, and it's a case we'll get champions like this in the future. But this one is one of my favorites so far, and the one I was looking forward to the most. So let's see why. And in a nutshell, it's all about prowess. Basically, I want to see big yellow numbers. I want to see big damage. I want to be able to see like just a complete powerhouse when it comes to building up those prowess charges and just smacking through with a lot of damage. But one of the biggest issues is the timer and the time that prowess buffs are on and how they expire. Basically, if you put in the bishop synergy or increase that by 4 seconds, which I think is kind of cool. But the champion does have an underlying problem, and that is critical rating. Critical rating is the biggest weakness of this, because when you're like, I want to see big yellow numbers like your Corvus Glaives, like your Namors, like so many other champions that do big yellow numbers, it's a case with a critical rating of 16%. Which if you indeed compare off with Namor is 24%, and even a 345 Nightcrawler has one of 24% as well. It's not exactly brilliant. Now that doesn't exactly undermine the strength and damage output this champion has, because it is fantastic. And at times I have seen some big yellow numbers, 40k here. You know, I've seen other players output about 98k, but that's in a white number, not in the case that it's a big yellow number. So there is still massive potential there, especially with damage output, and as well seeing those big numbers, not yellow, big numbers, then get something amazing out of it. One thing to point out that's kind of weird and something that's been alluded to, but Kabam, I don't know, have properly responded to this, is the champion gets a persistent charge. But for the life of me, and for reading through a lot of the abilities, and as well a lot of players reading through the abilities and the spotlight, it's difficult to pinpoint what that persistent charge is, and whether or not it's something that should be in there or not in there. It just doesn't really make much sense. Essentially, the good thing about it is at the start of every battle, you're able to choose both modes, which is that Ice Tempest and Lightning Tempest, which again is kind of weird because surely you should only really select one, but you can select both. And obviously for me, running Liquid Courage and Double Edge Masteries, it does mean that, and as well with Recoil, it does mean that when it comes to SP3, this is why it'd be best to have both the Tempests up at the same time. So the first thing is, if both Tempests are already active, Storm increases their attack rating by 2010 during the special attack. After the special attack ends, Storm activates her alternate Tempest for 35 seconds. The duration is paused. And like, I don't think that really applies obviously to the top part, which is the most and essential thing, is about increasing the attack rating, which is not very visual, but it's a case that I'll take it that it's there, as you know, it could be a case that it would just ping up, but it's not as say a passive fury, which we've kind of associated it to be in the past. Now you can get knocked down in order to get both of those Tempests up at any given time. And as well, if you're below 30%, you'll generate both Tempests at the same time as well. So there are plenty of opportunities for you to get your Storm Pyramid X rocking both Tempests and maybe throwing SP3s in order to gain that amazing attack rating. And as well, one thing that I liked about this champion is you go unblockable after the SP3, similar to a recent champion as well, where you throw your SP3, I think it was Hulkbuster actually, Hulkbuster Beta, yes, Hulkbuster Beta it was, where you throw your SP3 and you go straight to unblockable, which gives you this opportunity to keep on ramping up the damage. There is another way that Storm is able to ramp up damage as well. That way is through Lightning Tempest. So you decrease the potency of incoming shock effects by 100%, not really needed or applied for this situation, but it's the prowess gaining adds 2% chance to stun the opponent on hit for 0.9 seconds, which, and even though it max 16% chance, and yeah, that's kind of slim. I found it being more of a regular occurrence, which was great because it allowed me to, whilst I was hitting to and finishing a combo, I was able to like chain into a further combo, but it's always very surprising when it happens, so you need to capitalize on that. And 0.9 seconds, yeah, it's okay, and obviously scaling with the stuff with masteries, I think that does as well, so you'll find that will be enough to then get back in and then, you know, create another chain, which can be really great to like keep up the pressure on the enemy. Now timing's essential when it comes to heavy attacks because you can build prowess, because that's the main thing about this champion is build that prowess, shoot those SPs, SP2s, SP3s, SP1s. You know, there's still something with the SP1 we're going to discuss. And as well, you know, build up by doing that heavy charging, similar to your Mordos when he does like the build up Fury. And this can be really great to get that prowess quickly. And then as well, you know, launching a special attack while charging a heavy attack converts the dormant prowess into a passive prowess, increasing the special attack damage by 100% based on how long the heavy attack was charged. So charge, smash in an SP2, lovely, and as well, even better if you kind of go unblockable, because that can be really helpful, and the kind of the risk factor is limited down, so you can do a bit like your the Colossus, where you kind of like you're ramping up and going into an SP2 being unblockable, you know what I mean? The little bit of utility that I like is, well, there's two things. First of all being this special one attack where you get a passive slow, and that can be helpful against a lot of these pesky Spider-Verse champions. Obviously, do bear in mind the class advantage cannot be slowed, so I think that applies that tech. It's a case that you want tech aren't able to be, so that kind of rules that Stark Spidey, which would be handy against it. But still, it is handy to have that, and as well against nodes where unstoppable and evade could be a bit of a pest. You know, there's something to bear in mind. I don't know if this is going to be handy for stuff like Mesmerize, you know, that kind of thing. It's worth testing it out. And as well, the second aspect to this is the way that Ice Tempest works, where it kind of applies some sort of immunity to things like Cold Snap and Frostbite, handy against the fights of Iceman. Not quite sure if you could go with Freezer Burn on this one, but still, you know, you've got some options here to use against different things, and it's just a fun champion overall. Okay, my final thoughts on Storm Period X is this is a great champion, a lot of fun. There are some kind of drawbacks to having the Awakened ability, in that it seems that you've got to really and highly invest into getting that 30%. Now, I can imagine when you first get this champion, it will be something like 1% or 5%. So imagine getting a champion, like bumping it down 5% is a bit of a risky business, and I don't think that's a good idea to do. There seems to be other ways of launching both Tempests, like throwing in the SP3, which kind of make it more appealing to those that run Suicide Masteries, as I do. So you can, after the special attack ends, Storm activates an alternate Tempest with 35 seconds duration, is paused while charging heavy attacks and launching specials. So if you play that better to kind of go like, right, well, if I remember to do heavy attacks, charging heavy attacks, then I can keep both Tempests on. And I assume by reading this is that you get to have both on at the same time, regardless of the signature ability, which obviously puts it how it is. Now, obviously, because I don't have a version of this that is just slightly awakened and with a low signature, I can't really give you that level of detail. But that would be the case from what I read, in that you can play this champion off the SP3, gain a secondary Tempest, and be able to build and build and build, and maybe even in this case, you know, be quite aggressive, build up to another SP3 and shoot that in, because effectively you'll throw one SP3 and then in 35 seconds you're gonna have to try and do a combination of, you know, heavy attack charging in order to build up to another SP3 to benefit from that increase of attack rating, which, you know, is going to be really effective, but obviously is during the special attack. So I can imagine it amplifies, just to kind of correct that, I think the mistake I made in kind of looking at this, it amplifies the special attack to be more potent when you're doing the SP3, which is probably why in some of the footage that I've been putting over the top of this section, it does actually feature an increase in damage output by percentage on the special attacks, which obviously throwing SP2s you would see more definitely, but obviously with SP3s you just see a chunk of percentage being absolutely obliterated off of this champion, of which I mean the Winter Soldier. But the fact is, this is a great champion for so many different things, questing and whatnot. I'd love to get a rank 5 version and see what it can do. Shocks, alright, you know, Cold Snap, Frostbite, you know, cooling based attacks can be quite cool on this. So yeah, there's some debuffs, there's some utility, but as well, there's some fantastic damage output, a lot of fun, and well worth checking out. Definitely my favourite of the month, but that's just because I like the way this champion plays over Sorcerer Supreme. That's just my thoughts. What are your thoughts of what you've seen, what you've heard? Put them in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. And here we have some other content here that I posted today. Sorry it's a 3-video day, guys, but, you know, stuff that's got to be done and posted. Like a crystal opening with M, and as well the Marvel Contest of Champions news. Also check out some other links there. Thanks and bye-bye.